stories. Good morning, my dear listener, and welcome to this edition of Daily Dose on your dial, your favorite dial, of course, Adamimogo 105.1 FM, IBADAN. My name is Fortune Omosola, the General. All right, quickly, let me throw some of the very important stories for you. Don't forget, we are live on Facebook at Adamimogo 105.1 FM. Same for YouTube, same for X, same for TikTok, same for Instagram. And I have my guest in the studio to, of course, lend his voice to 1, 2, 3 stories that are top on some of those that I will trail this morning. Franco Gaga, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Yes, how was your night?
Fine, thank you, and happy Easter in advance.
Easter celebration coming March 31. I hope you're preparing for that. It's all good then. Franco Gaga is joining me right here in the studio to look at some of the newspaper stories we would be trailing for you on Daily Dose this morning. So let's begin with the Punch newspaper. We have a few stories. Interesting one here. Slain soldiers burial. Tinubu insists on killer's arrest as families demand justice. Away from that story, still with the Punch, Tinubu's 50-member emergency teams get 6 months to rescue economy. SIM NIN subscribers kick against Friday deadline, demand extension. Don't forget that the NCC is saying from tomorrow, if your SIM is not registered with the NIN, if you do not have that registration complete, then you are at risk of losing it entirely. So do well to register, to connect, to link, if you like, your NIN to your SIM. And this one, bordering on the home front, still with the Punch newspaper, Olubadan, designate healthy, will appear in public soon. That's according to his son. And that takes us to the Vanguard. What are the stories that have been trailed there that are top in that national daily? Okwama killings, army declares 8 persons wanted. And this one, bordering on Ogun State, Abiodun to sell rice at 50% discount. Back to the home front, why we disconnected power supply to UCH. That's according to the IBEDC. They are giving reasons why they did what they did. And still on Okwama killings, away from IBDC UCH saga, Okwama Tinubu bestows MON OFR on slain soldiers. You'll find that story inside the Sun. The Sun newspaper, as a matter of fact. And talking politics inside the cable, we did not monitor Labour Party National Convention. Who is saying that? Of course, that is coming from INEC. And still on that story, it's an illegality. NLC kicks against Abure's re-election as Labour Party chairman. And you still find some stories around the Okwama killings inside the Daily Post, inside the Nation. And if you want to know more about President Tinubu's critical economic team and the deadline they have, you can also grab a copy of the Nation newspaper. So let's quickly take a few stories from the home front, and then we'll look at Tinubu's economic team and, of course, the slain soldiers before we get into the analysis. Let me begin with this one inside the Punch. Olubadan designate healthy will appear in public soon. That's according to his son. The Olubadan designate Oba Owolabi Olakunle is hale and healthy. That's according to his son, Sumbo Owolabi. That's what he told newsmen. He said, and I quote here, he will soon make his first public appearance any moment from now and even attend the next meeting of the Council of Obas in Ibadan land. Owolabi, a former commissioner in Oyo State, told correspondents on Wednesday. The clarification comes in the wake of concerns that Oba Olakunle was absent at a Monday meeting of the Olubadan in council to deliberate on his nomination to Governor Seyi Makinde as appointment as the next Olubadan of Ibadan land. And still from Oyo State, why we disconnected power supply to UCH. That's according to IBEDC. The management of Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company says it was compelled to disconnect the power supply to the University of Ibadan College Hospital, UCH, due to an outstanding debt. IBEDC's Chief Key Accounts Officer, Johnson Tinoye, in a statement issued on Wednesday, said that the amount owed to the company by UCH was 400 million naira. Mr. Tinoye said that the drastic measure came after several attempts to engage with the hospital's management regarding the substantial overdue balance, which had persisted for over 6 years, had failed. That story you find inside the Premium Times. All right, quick one, two developments yesterday at the National Cemetery. Inside the Sun, Okwama Tinubu bestows MON, OFR on slain soldiers. That's more like a minute silence for those slain 17 soldiers killed on March 14. Let's take that story now. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has honored the 17 officers and soldiers killed at Okwama community in Delta State on March 14 with posthumous national awards. The former military officers earned the posthumous award of Member of the Order of the Niger. That's four of them, yes. Colonel Ali, Major Obi, SD Ashafa, and Captain Zakari. And still on Okwama killings, Army declares 8 persons wanted. The Nigerian Army has declared 8 persons wanted in connection with the killing of 17 soldiers in Okwama community in Delta State. The Army disclosed this on its X account on Thursday. Details inside the Vanguard newspaper. And what do we have inside the Punch before we start that analysis? Of course, on 2 very important stories here. Tinubu's 50-member emergency teams get 6 months to rescue economy. President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday established a 31-man Presidential Economic Coordination Council comprising himself, the Vice President, President of the Senate, and the Chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, among others. Tinubu also established a 19-member Economic Management Team Emergency Task Force, which he mandated to meet twice weekly and submit a 6-month comprehensive plan of economic interventions for the year 2024. The Economic Management Team Emergency Task Force was approved by the Federal Executive Council on Wednesday. So that's much we'll take, of course, before we'll look at maybe business, the SEAM NIN connection story, and maybe sports story. But let's get straight into the analysis after this short break.
All the big headlines, from policy to politics, state stories, security, trending issues, and sports. Daily Dose. Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 10 a.m. on Adamimogo 105.1 FM. Stay with us.
Thank you very much for staying tuned on Daily Dose right here on Adamimogo 105.1 FM. My news analyst Franco Gaga is here. Yes, we have an economic team, Franco Gaga. Let's look at that. They have 6 months to get our economy working again. It looks like we're at a lull. It's a standstill. A lot of things not working out fine. But the assurances from the presidency that, hey, the economy will be good. Now Naira is about 1,300, if not, 350, 1,000, between 1,300 and 350, which is quite a kind of relief compared to what it was in the last couple of, weeks. So now that the economic team is on board, the president heading it himself, alongside other key figures, what is likely to happen in the next 5-6 months, just like the president has announced?
Well, pertaining to the economic team, is it a submission of report or a submission of what had actually been done to revamp the economy? Is it just mere report, or what has been done so far to revamp the economy?
Of course, it looks like it's about rescuing it, and rescuing it means you have to be pragmatic.
Is it going to be pragmatic? If it is going to be pragmatic, this is my own take. I think I was in a group day before yesterday, and we were trying to discuss what the economy is all about, by good bankers, in short, and how to revamp that the Nigerian economy. But at the end of the day, after the whole economic jargons and everything, we all agree that all these processes that have been taken so far, they are just like a shadow of the real thing.
What do you mean, shadow of the real thing? What have you seen that is wrong? What are those things that indicate that it's not right?
Good. You see, there are crash programs. Crash programs in the sense that the president himself has told us that for the naira to have a very nice strength against the dollar, what we need to do is to begin to patronize made in Nigerian goods.
Yes.
I think you're aware of that. And now I ask somebody this question, that from everything that you have told me so far, or you have told us here so far, what are
the examples, the models you've set as a president?
That you have set.
Have you said, okay, all ministers should use homemade cars and all of that? What have you done to set the example?
No example. And the major strength of the naira lies in exportation.
Yes. What are you producing?
Let us ask ourselves this question now. What are we producing? Let us ask ourselves this question now. If I thought we have things that we're producing from our natural resources that are really, really in abundance, where is power supply?
What are the potentials for you, Mr. Frank Ogaga? Yes, a lot of people, enthusiasts who want Nigeria, the economy to work, and who want, our naira to be strengthened, kind of. They have suggested that we must start producing. But for the benefit of those listening, where lies the potentials to produce anything in this country? What are those things that we have, possibly in moderate or in excess, that we can cash in on at the global market? Aside, the oil we are known for.
See, from this point to Songo, it's a very short distance. From this point to Songo,
yes,
it's a very short distance. I went to patronize an artisan there some days ago, and the potential at that Isopako
is there.
Is the waste, that we have there are enough to do some of those things that we have in the studio.
So even in our waste products and all, there
abundant
are economic potential.
Abundant potential.
Instead of just putting them somewhere to...
Abundant potential. In fact, they burn these things off. And these are the MDF, that they import, into this country to resell to the people over there. I think you get what I'm saying here.
So there's a lot.
There's a lot.
What would it take to get it working? Is there... we have, the human capital. We have the product, the materials,
we have the materials
in the raw form itself.
Yes.
So what is now left, to harmonize all of this so that we can start doing something tangible?
Industrialization. If you have a government that has come into being, and that government is not saying, I'm going to set up industries, begin to suspect.
But what is industrialization without electricity? Already
that is what we are saying. That is what I'm saying here. Without electricity, you cannot have it. Tackle the issue of power first. And let us get to the root cause. Let us get
So what's your charge to
solution.
the Minister of Power, Adelabu, who fortunately is from this state?
Well, I want to tell him that tax that the government has given to that economic team, it should be directed to the Minister of Power.
That get this working first, and then we can
give us a pragmatic approach in the next 6 months. Or now we are going to get power supply. Are you not
But
aware?
he's saying that he's trying his best, and it looks like there are some shadow actors who are frustrating, who are thwarting all efforts directed at making the power sector.
Isn't that the role of the government to fish out those saboteurs and deal with them? Is that not the role of the
if they are not in government themselves?
Well, if they are not in government, then don't you have NIA? Don't you have intelligence outfit in this country?
So your submission here is, Mr. President, deal with your power sector first.
Power sector first. If you don't deal with power sector, if there is no light, nothing progressive can happen in this country in terms of the economy.
Interesting one. That's an interesting submission from Mr. Ogaga. If this economy is to work, we must address the Stygian problem that we have, and that is poor epileptic power supply.
And that's why we have to begin to give it to the governor of Abia State, or what's his name?
That is making
moves.
a place like About work
that
with
is making
24-hour electricity.
And he's trying to tell you that after a while, some other places will work.
Will catch up.
That's a working governor. That's a working governor because he understands what power supply actually means to the development of a state like that state.
I'm sure that listeners back home can infer one or two from what Mr. Franco Gaga has pointed out this morning is as part of his analysis of how the Nigerian economy can fire up again. Now let's look at what the Vanguard newspaper has here. Okwama killings that the army has declared 8 persons wanted. They listed their names there with a promise that they would give more detail, in that story. It's just happening today. That story is on their X handle already. The Nigerian Army. They listed some names here: Akevuru Daniel Omotegbono, Professor Ekpepo Ato Andowe, Dennis Bakriki, Igoli Abi, who is identified as a female, Akata Malawa David, Sinclair Oliki, Clement Ikolo Ogenerukebe, and Ruben Barrow. Those are the names that have been listed as high-profile suspects. Of course, they have been declared wanted as in connection with the Okwama killings. Is that enough for you? Are you satisfied with that?
We are satisfied that the army
that they have been able to zero in on people who are responsible
beam their
for that.
searchlight on people who could have been responsible for that.
Who could? In quotes.
Yes.
That's for you.
Who could have been responsible for that? Because until a court of competent jurisdiction
or perhaps investigation has been done thoroughly to establish that.
Thoroughly, and they are convicted. That's when we're going to say, okay, they are the ones that are involved.
But they have declared wanted.
They have been declared wanted.
It means that they've been able to make some, do some due diligence and say, okay, these are likely persons.
And you see, the due diligence that they've done now, that's the first approach they could have taken. Instead of, going on rampage, doing killings here and there, and some people are even alleging. I'm from that region. I'm from the Niger Delta, and I know how the military operate over there. I know what they do over there. Some of those things
how
that
do they
do.
operate? Are they very
shady deals?
Are they high-handed?
Shady deals.
For guys at the top, right?
Yes, shady deals from the top, to the bottom. And when you look at those people that went, this. I'm not saying it is proper for soldiers to be killed. I'm also from the barracks. I was also fed from the salary received, from.
I wouldn't even allow you to see it that way because it's a sensitive story. It's sensitive.
We agree it's sensitive.
We have to be careful.
The rampage.
We have to tread carefully.
Yes, we have to do that. But at the same time, you see that rampage.
Yes.
The first event in the timeline of the whole thing speaks volumes. I think you get it. Some people are calling and are saying they just want to occupy the place.
I get what you're saying, that it's important as much as it's a sensitive one at this moment. Nigerians should also try to see it from different angles.
Yes. We have to see it from different angles because people are calling and are saying, the army has just, in fact, they've just gone there they went there to, it's an occupation in short.
But something went wrong in between. Simple.
And no, I'm not saying the army. The army could have gone there for peacekeeping, but this is where we are supposed to begin to do our investigation from, and that investigation is not for the military alone. The civil society organizations also should be involved. The general public also should be involved. Are you now telling me that because some people are in camouflage or green and white, they are now bigger than that particular community?
The rule of law must take
its course. The moment the rule of law does not take its course the way it is supposed to be taken,
we have something like
something fishy.
Interesting one. Okay, let's move on from that story. Fishy. We have barely 3 more minutes, and I would like to take some comments here. Someone is trying to clarify if this is an online radio. Yes, online, offline, terrestrial, offline. You have Adamimogo 105.1 FM. So as much as you can listen from your radio set, you can also listen online if that does justice to your question there. And of course, those who are joining us on Facebook, thank you very much, Makinde. Olonlano, Oladuni Kenny, Omomi Grace Alao. Thank you for joining us on Facebook as well. Someone like Governor Dapabionu has decided to slash the price of rice. 50%. If perhaps they were selling rice 75k, he wants it to be sold by maybe 45 or so. Is that something that the governor of Oyo State can also toe the line? I mean, slash the price of commodities now that a lot of Nigerians are facing
all the
hardship.
Governors can toe that line, slashing the price of.
I'm just trying to narrow it down to a place like Oyo, where it's even more difficult
to slash that price down.
No. I'm saying the terms of, living condition is even very difficult.
Difficult in Oyo. In fact, Oyo State should slash down by 70%. Are we getting what I'm trying to say here? Because I think these days.
So they can sell a bag of rice which goes normally for 75k as we speak for maybe 25,000.
It's possible.
It is possible.
It is possible. It is very possible and that is why I want to commend the Ogun State, governor for that move. But I also want to believe that it is not an Easter, gift.
It is one that should continue till things are balanced.
Yes, it is balanced. That's the palliative that we are talking about.
Thank you very much.
Put us in this mess.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frank Ogaga. We're out of time. So sorry we couldn't take any call. Possibly, I'm sure Big Josh will do that tomorrow on his edition. Hopefully, he would be joined by maybe Wise Man Kunle Ajayi or an analyst online. Big Josh has tomorrow to himself on Daily Dose. Thank you so much, our dear listener, for being a part of the program. Our guest analyst, Mr. Frank Ogaga, thank you. And I guess there's a charge to the governor of Oyo State that, hey, the bags of rice, wherever they exist, if you can, mediate, let it be slashed, at least even if it's for this, the Easter celebration. Let people feel a bit of relief from the economic hardship that they are facing, not just in Oyo State, but of course, nationwide. Thank you for being a part of the program. I remain Fortune Omosola. We'll do this again, God willing, on Monday. Good morning, Oyo State.
All the big headlines, from policy to politics, state stories, security, trending issues, and sports. Daily Dose. Monday to Friday, 9:30 to 10 a.m. on Adamimogo 105.1 FM. Stay with us.
Our voice is your light, shining light to the city of Ibadan. Adamimogo FM 105.1, the voice of the light. Adamimogo FM